So you're thinking about a trip to Russia, but let's be honest, it brings up a lot of questions right now. Is it even possible? Is it safe? The whole situation has changed so much. Well, in this explainer, we're going to cut through all the noise and just give you a calm, factual look at what you really need to know for a trip in 2026.
Okay, so let's just jump right in and tackle the two biggest questions on everyone's mind. Can you even travel to Russia right now? And if you can, is it actually safe? Everything else really flows from these 2 points, so that's what we're going to break down.
And here's how we're going to do it. First, we'll look at whether travel is even possible. Then, we'll get into the safety situation. After that, it's all about the practical stuff, visas, flights, and borders, and your daily logistics. And we'll wrap it all up with a quick summary of the key takeaways.
All right, first things first. Can you actually get into Russia as a tourist right now? Let's get straight to it. The simple answer is yes, you can. Russian consulates are open and they're issuing visas. And if you were to visit a major city like Moscow or St. Petersburg, you'd find that for the most part, daily life is carrying on as usual. Cafes are open, the metro is bustling, and people are out and about. And this is a really big but, the way you travel there has completely changed. You're not going to find any direct flights from most Western countries. Your Visa or MasterCard from back home, they won't work at all. You'll also need something called a VPN to access common apps and websites, and getting a local SIM card, which used to be easy, is now a real challenge for tourists. So yes, it's possible, but it takes a whole new level of planning.
Okay, so with those new challenges in mind, let's talk about the other huge question, safety. This is where it's really important to separate the on-the-ground reality for a tourist from all the political noise. The key thing to understand here is just how enormous Russia is. The high-risk areas everyone hears about are specifically the border regions right next to Ukraine. But the major cities where tourists go, like Moscow and St. Petersburg, are hundreds and hundreds of kilometers away from all that. Life there is, by all accounts, going on as normal.
So for any tourist, this really boils down to one golden rule, and this quote says it perfectly. Stay out of politics. Stay away from any kind of protest, don't get into arguments about politics in public, and just be mindful of what you're doing. If you're there to see the sights and you keep a low profile, the risk to you personally is incredibly low.
All right, let's switch gears to the nuts and bolts, how you actually get permission to enter the country. We're going to look at your visa options.
For a lot of travelers, the electronic visa or eVisa is going to be the easiest way to go. The process is pretty simple. You do it all online on the official government website, upload a few documents, pay a fee of about $52, and you usually get your approval in just a few days. It's really designed for those shorter tourist trips. So, which visa is right for you? Well, this chart makes it pretty clear. The eVisa is perfect for a single trip that's less than 30 days. But if you're planning a longer stay or you want to be able to enter multiple times, you'll need to go the traditional route and get a visa sticker from a consulate. That's also the one you need if you want to travel between Russia and Belarus. Okay, visas sorted. Now, how in the world do you actually get there? Because of all the airspace restrictions, the old playbook for flights is completely out the window. Let's look at the new reality. This right here is the new map for flying to Russia. Since you can't fly direct from the west, you have to go through a third country. The most popular layover spots are places like Istanbul, Belgrade, or Dubai. So what this means for you is that you'll likely be booking two separate tickets, one to get to the hub city and a second one to fly from there into Moscow or St. Petersburg. And what if you're thinking of going by land? Well, it's a mixed bag. The borders with Finland and Azerbaijan are currently closed to travelers. You can cross from the Baltic states like Estonia and Latvia, but you should be prepared for some seriously long waits. It's generally a smoother process to enter from places like Georgia or Kazakhstan.
All right, you've arrived. Now for the really important stuff. How do you handle the day-to-day logistics? We're talking about money, internet, and just getting around.
Okay, listen up, because this is probably the single most important thing to know before you go. Your bank cards, Visa, MasterCard, Amex, it doesn't matter. If they were issued outside of Russia, they will not work. Not in stores, not in restaurants, not at an ATM. They're completely useless. You have to have another plan for money. So what do? Well, for most people, cash is king. The plan is to bring euros or US dollars with you, make sure the bills are crisp and new, and then exchange them for Russian rubles once you're there. Just remember, if you're carrying more than $10,000, you do have to declare it at customs.
Now, here's another big change. You used to be able to just land at the airport and grab a local SIM card. Well, a new law that came into effect in 2025 has made that nearly impossible for tourists because it requires a registration process that you just can't complete as a visitor.
So what's the workaround for staying connected? Your best bet is to get an international eSIM before you leave home. That's a digital SIM card you can install on your phone, and definitely install a VPN on all your devices before your trip too. That's what will let you access sites like Facebook or Instagram. Don't rely on public Wi-Fi because it often asks for a local phone number to log in.
This new reality even changes how you book your trip. The websites you're used to, like Booking.com or Airbnb, just don't operate in Russia anymore, so you'll have to use different platforms. For hotels, you'd look at something like Zen Hotels, and for flights, aggregators like Aviasales are designed to work with foreign bank cards.
Okay, I know that was a lot of information, so let's just boil it all down to the absolute must-know points to remember if you're planning a trip.
Here's your final checklist. 1. Travel is definitely possible, but it takes way more planning than it used to. 2. Stick to the major tourist cities and stay out of politics, and your trip should be safe. 3. The eVisa is your friend for short trips. 4. You'll have to fly through a third country. And the 2 big ones? 5. Your bank cards won't work, so you must bring cash. And 6. Get your internet sorted with an eSIM and a VPN before you go. So what's the bottom line? Traveling to Russia in 2026 is a very different thing than it was just a few years ago. It's a journey that's still possible, for sure, but it's one that really requires you to be aware of and prepared for all these new realities. And with this information, hopefully you can make the decision that's right for you.